So what we're going to do in this video is just some extra examples. So we've already done the notes for the lecture portion for the or for one pick, which I have on the top. Or for one pick is adding, but we don't include something twice. So again, that's just a quick summary. And when we're doing more than one pick will be multiplication. But we have to ask ourselves, does the first pick affect the second? So that portion I have there in purple, if you need to pause it to write it down or rewind it and listen to me say it, but it's the stuff that we went over on the last videos for this section. So we're going to do extra examples now, similar to your homework. Okay. Number 1, a board game uses the deck of 20 cards shown. So you can see now the set of 20 cards, which you would see in your homework quiz or test that I've just added to the picture here. Says 2 cards are selected at random from the deck. Determine the probability of the following. 2 cards. So that should already signal to you that I'm probably going to use an and probability. And I'm going to multiply. So first one, they both show the number 3 with replacement, which means you put the card back in. With replacement is independent because you put the card back. So it doesn't affect your second pick. So the probability that the first one is a 3, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 threes. So 4 out of 20. I look at the card, I put it back in, so there are still 4 out of 20 threes for the second pick. That's the same thing as 1/5 times 1/5, which should give me 1/25 in my calculator. B says they both show the number 3 without replacement. Without replacement means I keep the card. So it will affect my second pick. This is dependent. So the probability that the first one is a 3 stays the same no matter what, because it's starting with the original deck of the cards shown. So we have 4 threes out of 20. But I am keeping the card, so I'm keeping a 3 out. So now there is 19 cards left, and out of those 19 cards, only 3 of them are 3s. So now I'm going to multiply across. This is the same thing as 1/5 times 3/19, which simplifies to 3/95. Again, please pause these, see if you can do them for yourself when you're doing these problems. You need to ask yourself when you're dealing with an and problem, am I including this piece, putting it back in, or do I keep it out? And ask yourself, with replacement is independent. Without replacement is dependent. So now looking at the next problem, please read it, pause it, see if you can answer it. Angel has 7 books on the shelf, 4 mysteries, 2 science fiction, 1 biography. 2 books are selected at random. Determine the probability of selecting no science fiction. So with replacement, I look at the first pick, which I want to be not to be a science fiction, put it back. So this is an independent because it will not affect my second pick. So the probability that the first one is not science fiction. So I have 7 total books. 2 of them are science fiction, which means there are 5 that are not. So the 4 plus the 1. So I have probability that the first one is not science fiction is 5/7. I always start with the denominator first for probability and then ask myself how many of them are successes. I look at the book, I put it back up so it doesn't affect my second pick. I still have 7. And 5 of them are not science fiction. Again, please remember, when we're doing more than one pick with and, we are multiplying. So we should get 25/49. The second case here is without replacement. So this is a dependent event. So we are actually keeping that first pick out. So you're going to keep a non-science fiction book out. But for the first one, there's 5/7. That doesn't change the first one ever. On the second one, we're keeping a book out. So that leaves me with only 6 books left. And I've kept the non-science fiction out. So I only have 4 non left. So I now have 5/7 times 2/3, which simplifies to 10/21. And again, you can use your calculator, TI-30XS, not a graphing calculator. There are videos that show you how to do the fraction buttons if you go into my Canvas show. Please pause this and read number 3 and see if you can set it up and answer. Once you think you've answered it, press unpause and listen to me explain. Going to number 3, we have a sample size of 75, so that's my total possibilities for health insurance. 2 people are selected at random. So I have 2 people without replacement. So I am not putting the first pick back in. So this is a dependent event. It will affect. So the probability that the first one, and I apologize for that misspelling there, that they both have a managed care plan, which is starting off with the first person I pick. We have said we have a total of 75, which is the total of this piece here. 33 of them are managed. I am keeping that person out of my selections for the second person, so I now have a total of 74. And I still want to pick a managed care plan, so that's deducted 1 from that amount. So we should have 32/74. Multiply this across. You should always check to see if it simplifies. That is my answer. Number 4, please read it. See if you can answer the questions. Unpause it and listen to me. See if you challenge yourself. See if you can do it. You're going to make mistakes on these. I picked these for a reason. These are ones that people tend to mess up on the test and you needed an example on for the homework and the quiz and the test. So each question of a 5-question multiple choice exam has 4 possible answers. A lot of people mess up on this right off the bat. Okay. This is where you've got to be careful on these problems because it's very easy to misread them. We are answering 5 questions. On A, it says probability that we only answer correct the first question. So that means, just so we kind of know what I'm talking about, the first one is correct, but that means the second one is not correct. The third one is not correct. The fourth one is not correct. And the 5th one is not correct. So you got to be careful. It's very easy to say, oh, I'm only looking at the first case, but I'm saying that's the only one that got correct. And in this case, it does not say any of the picks affect the next question. So these are all independent questions. Think about when you take a test. Generally, they're independent of each other. So there are 4 possible choices for each problem. So it's like an A, B, C, D. So the first one being correct is 1/4. That's where you got to be careful. You're not done because this is saying you have answered all of the rest of them incorrectly. So there are 3 wrong answers on each of the following problems that you have in those 5-question test. So 1/4 times 3/4 to the 5th, or sorry, 1/4 times 3/4 to the 4th, which you can think of it that way as well. So 1/4 times 3/4 to the 4th. But to be careful, if you're entering that in your calculator, you need the parentheses around the 3/4. You can just type 1/4 times 3/4 times 3/4 times 3/4 times 3/4. And you should get 81/1024. Because there's nothing that's going to simplify there. So you're really just doing 3 to the 4th, which is 81. And then you're doing 4 to the 5th, which is 1024. This is again a tricky question. B says he selects correct all 5. So the first one is correct, second one is correct, third one is correct, fourth one is correct, fifth one is correct. So 1/4 for the first one, 1/4 for the second, 1/4 to the third, 1/4 to the fourth, and 1/4 for the fifth. That is the same thing as 1 divided by 4 raised to the 5th power. Or again, you can just multiply it out. 1 times 1 is 1. 4 to the 5th power, as we saw above, should be 1024. Remember, the probability should be between 0 and 1 normally. 0 is the lowest it can be, 1 is the highest. C is a tricky one, and we've talked about this before. Whenever you see the word at least 1, you've got to be careful, because if I did this actually how it says, we would have to do probably that one of them is correct in any of the positions, plus probably that 2 of them are correct in any of the positions. It's so many choices. So we don't want to do it that way. Whenever we see that at least 1, we always want to write down the probability that none happen, which means we get none correct, because that's the opposite. That's the leftover. Okay? Because otherwise we would have to put in every single spot. The first one's correct, the second one's correct, third one's correct, fourth one's correct, fifth one's correct, all those different pieces. So remember what this means. This means the first one is not correct, second is not correct, third is not correct, fourth is not correct, fifth is not correct. So that's just, again, idea-wise, how you understand that piece. When we're picking more than one, we're multiplying, right? So first one not being correct is 3/4. Second one is 3/4. Third one is 3/4. 3/4. 3/4. So we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can use parentheses and use an exponent, but you've got to do the parentheses around the 3/4 if you're going to do that way. But be careful, make sure you subtract from 1. We should get 781 over 1024 for that case. You should expect a pretty big probability there, because you're including all kinds of choices for that problem. So last one, I actually choose to draw out a diagram for this. I do a tree diagram. I think it's easier. You don't have to, but you're going to make mistakes. So I want you to read this one, pause it, and let's see if we can write out our tree diagram first with our possibilities of what can happen. When we shoot a torpedo, we have 2 choices, right? We either hit it or we miss. So the first one is either hit or miss. So when we look at this, the probability of hitting the first target is 0.4. So that means it either hits or misses, so it has to add up to 1. So missing it would be 0.6. If the first torpedo hits, which is up here, the first torpedo hits, the probability the second one hits increases because it's got that heat already there. So we either hit or miss for my second one, and it increases to 0.9, and these two still have to add up to 1 because it either happens or it doesn't, so that's 0.1. And then it says here, okay, if 2 heat per missing piece, we haven't finished this, okay, so it says if we hit the first one, it increases. If we didn't hit the first one, it doesn't help us. So down here when we missed, we're still going to hit or miss. But the probability here stays the same because the heat didn't help me. So this is where I would draw this out. You don't have to, and I don't believe that the book will do this, but I think it's easier to visualize what you're doing. Remember, we're shooting off 2 torpedoes, so we are multiplying probabilities here. So this is easy really to even track it. Neither hits the target. That would be tracing this piece. That would be a miss and a miss. So we would have 0.6 times 0.6, which gives me 0.36. If it's in a decimal, they are fine with you giving decimals. So this would be wanting a miss-miss. B says the first hits and the second one misses. So again, I'm going to take the green up here. We're going to hit first, and then we're going to miss. So in this case, we have 0.4 probability of first hitting it. Once we've hit it, we get a better probability of hitting it, but we have a 0.1 of missing it. Be careful here with your decimals. Really easy to make a mistake. That should be 0.04. Both hit the target, which would be hit and a hit. So this one would be 0.4, and then it increases to 0.9. Multiply these together because we're saying more than one thing happens, which is 0.36. Then the last case, first misses, which is here, and then we hit. So this would be a miss and then a hit. This would be 0.6 times 0.4. So notice this one. A mistake people make on this problem is they try just to read the answers and do them. It's just like in other sections, y'all try to read the whole word problem, which is a lot of times what we suggest you do. But on this problem, I really strongly think draw this kind of modified tree diagram before you even look at what A, B, C, D are doing. Draw it out, and then it's really easy to do the actual probabilities of these, remembering that you're multiplying.